Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Kangaroothless, and I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 commentary. This will be a Terran vs Zerg on the map Shattered Temple, and this will be between the Red Terran, Brokenhandz, he's number 10 ranked Terran in his division, and his opponents on the European server, the French Terror, I don't know. Anyways, his name is aXa as the Blue Zerg. He is a mid-ranked Zerg master. And for those of you living under a rock who have not seen these replays before, they're all over my channel. I think I have about 5 replays from aXa posted here, so have a look at some of the rest of them. Pretty good replays overall. And actually, Rage Quit TMO, the Terran from the first replay I casted of aXa, wants to do a rematch with aXa. They have both agreed to do a rematch, and I will be streaming it hopefully, as well as making VODs, so definitely tune in for updates on that. We're basically waiting for aXa to get more internet, because he recently moved residences. But anyways, I'm going to be really excited, looking forward to casting that. I don't think I've done a live cast before. I've done a couple of live casts actually, but not before a streaming crowd, so I have no idea how that's going to work out. I'm not very good at making small talk, actually. I'll have to work on that. But at the very least, we'll have some very exciting games to play. Rage Quit TMO said he was not playing his tip-top shape, and he promises that the next games will not be such a cakewalk. So hopefully they won't. I really hope to see some really exciting games there. But as we can go ahead and tell, Brokenhandz and aXa have spawned close positions on Shattered Temple, and really I don't like it when I spawn close positions to any race on this map, because I don't know, there's just so many rushes that your opponent can do that just mess with you. It's so stressful to deal with. I usually end up going for some sort of safe expand, maybe a speedling expand, or you know, if it's ZVZ, yeah, definitely like a Baneling expand. And tech straight to Banelings like as fast as possible. And throw down maybe a spine or two. It's just so hectic and chaotic. I don't like spawning close positions. But this game will be against 2 master players, close positions. Now notice what aXa's doing here with his little drone, is he's doing this little patrol pattern. And it's really so that Terran can't bunker you out. Terrans can just put one bunker right here, one bunker right here, and then you're bunkered out, and it kind of screws you over. You have to cancel this hatchery, otherwise Marines will just come in here, go into the bunkers, and kill off your hatchery. It's just so irritating to deal with. So sending this drone around to patrol around, make sure he doesn't get bunkered out, it's very important. But Terran's actually going to bunker here. This is a pretty nice spot. Zerg can't really attack in here and get rid of the SCV or the Marine. I think Brokenhandz has a really nice position on this. So aXa can't really engage, and he has to let his hatchery go down now, or else he'll be really far behind, because this is a 1-Rax expand build. So you can see here, Brokenhandz is going to make a Reaper after this, and I think he's going to save up some minerals and immediately go for a command center. But aXa's positioning is Overlord in a very nice spot. He'll be to scout to see exactly what's going on. The next XCV will kind of bunny up here with the bunker, and notice the patience that aXa is, showing here. He's not just trying to bum rush this. You don't want to do that. You don't want to lose any Zerglings when you don't have to. So really, aXa's just being patient here, waiting for the right amount of Zerglings, waiting for this spine crawler to finish. This Reaper is going to come up in the meantime and try to be annoying, but there are Zerglings here. The Zergling speed is on the way, as well as 2 queens. And this is kind of difficult to deal with. He does get 1 peck off on the Reaper, but I mean, that Reaper's more or less safe. He can just hop into this bunker, and now they have sight of the spine crawler. With these SCVs repairing, you don't want 2 or 3 SCVs repairing a bunker like this. He's going to pick off 1, and so now it's going to take more and more damage. And this bunker is starting to get some real damage done on it, but he needs to bring this queen and maybe some other Zerglings in. So the queen and a drone and 2 Zerglings are going to come in, and will they be able to provide enough DPS? Not sure. They are starting to pick away at the queen, but feed finally does finish, and so with speed and with this queen picking away at that SCV, Brokenhandz will salvage that bunker. The rush has been, pretty much thwarted, and so now Brokenhandz is pretty much just going to fall back and do a little light contain with his Reaper, but he won't really be able to do much. I mean, queens just own Reapers, and he's going to get caught. Yes, he does. The Reaper finally does go down, and aXa not wasting any of his Zerglings. Is just going to let that bunker stay there. It's not really important that the bunker's there. I mean, he has adequate creep spread. He's going to add on to that with this creep tumor. Meanwhile, another spine's going down, so he should be able to take care of that once he repositions it. But for those of you who have been living under a rock and have not seen any of aXa's replays, it's pretty much aXa likes to go for a 2 base with 3 hatcheries, make a ridiculous amount of Zerglings, usually around the 40 or 50 drone mark, depending on what map it is and spawning locations and so on and so forth. And that way when Terran does their nice little timing pushes with Marines and tanks, it gets shut down really fast. And so when aXa sees he's safe, he drones up. When there is a threat of a push out or the army is pushing onto the center of that, aXa makes lings. And the nice thing about this build is you just can't die to some silly timing push. And this generally focuses around mass lings, but it can also work for roaches. So it's really like turtling on 2 base. And expanding to your 3rd when you can afford to do it. It will set you slightly behind. And I wouldn't say behind, but you're even on income with the Terran. But you know, no one's really at an advantage or disadvantage. It is just really nice, just to make sure you're safe. So aXa in the meantime is throwing down 2 evolution chambers. It's nicely droning up, and I don't know if he started another queen yet. No, he's just starting now on that macro hatch. And finally the queen is going to come out here and he's going to start on that creep spread. Now, here's a problem I have as Zerg with, you know, close spawn locations, is I forget to make creep tumors. Now, it's really hard for Terran to push out and try to engage you if there's just creep all over the place. And right now aXa sees that he can just drone up, make more queens, you know, make lots more creep tumors. I mean, he can just macro up at this point. And notice, I mean, he's pulled all of his drones off of gas. He's just making nothing. He's mining nothing but minerals at this point, so he can afford production of more Zerglings. 24 are in production. Speak of the devil. And this 3rd will about complete. Now he's resumed mining on this extractor. What he likes to go for is upgrades on his Zerglings. Notice there's no Baneling nest. Now aXa doesn't like going for Banelings unless there's some sort of mass Rax build. And so if you don't see siege tanks, if you see something like Marine Marauder, then yes, Banelings are kind of necessary, especially if he's just going to go for like mass Marine Medevac. Like, that's really difficult to deal with just Zerglings. You do need a couple of Banelings in there. But, you know, this isn't going to be one of those games, actually. I don't want to give it away. But this will be something where aXa's build does work. So, at any rate, let's see. Brokenhandz is going to throw down some missile turrets. He's doing this preemptively just to make sure that mutas don't come in and start destroying the mineral line. And this is a pretty good timing for Terran to do this. It's pretty much right spot on time when mutas would, you know, show up. But aXa, I don't think he's even started on his lair yet. No, so no mutas are coming for some time. Meanwhile, 2 Zerglings picking away at the rocks. Especially in close positions, I think this is very important to pick away at these rocks. That way you can scout and see if Terran is going for any push on this side as well. And if it's possible to get some creep over on this side, that's even better. It's you know, bonus points. But, you know, we'll see what happens. At any rate, looks like aXa is taking his 3rd. He is getting his +1 melee attacks. Meanwhile, Terran is getting infantry level weapons level 1 and combat shield. I believe he already has stem. Yeah, he already has stem, so he will be safe from any sort of Zergling, Baneling all in. His tanks are decently positioned. He should be able to survive any sort of Zergling, Baneling all in. And now aXa starting on his level 1 Carapace. So we see a mixture here of Zerglings and drones being produced. And, you know, just the normal stuff going on. But, again, look at this creep spread. I know I was talking about it earlier, but just look how far out onto the map it is at their base. It's just scary. It pretty much slows down their push. They have to kind of pause, scan more, kill more creep tumors. In the meantime, you can attack with your lings. It's just a very stressful time in general for Terran. This Overlord was in a pretty nice spot. It will get picked off. Meanwhile, 2 more barracks going down, and another factory has been completed. So, Brokenhandz doing a fine job macroing here. aXa's kind of getting high on his minerals. He is finally taking up to a lair, and this Marine is going to start to try and pick away at these creep tumors. Yeah, and this Terran, really, you want to scan, and you know, especially if they're just now, like, going down, you definitely want to stop them. But he does pick off 2 of the creep tumors. That Marine and that scan was well worth it. Anything to halt or slow down the spread of creep. This Queen is just out in the front, spreading creep everywhere. And, wow. 15 drones going down for aXa. He feels like he's safe at this point. If Terran were to push out here, I mean, he has plenty of Zerglings to hold it off. And so he can afford to do, you know, 15 drones. But again, a very important facet of this build is that you hit your injects. So with the lower levels, when you're having a problem with this build, you might not be hitting your injects correctly. Now, I know a lot of people on the thread were saying, you know, what if he goes for an earlier time to push, or he puts his Marines out front and sieges his tanks in the back. Well, you see here, he wanted to engage, but he didn't. He saw this tank sieging up, and he decided to pull back until the right time when he could get a flank with these Zerglings, and he can wrap around the rest of the Marines with these Zerglings. He's going to split off a pack, and meanwhile focus fire the rest of the tanks with another pack of Zerglings. So this is how you deal with pushes like this. I mean, really, you wait for the right time to attack. You have to be patient, and aXa is showing us that he's very patient. So now he's pretty much reset the tank count. I mean, Brokenhandz only has 2 tanks. He's not going to feel very safe pushing out with only 2 tanks. And even with these other 2 tanks coming in, 4 tanks, it's not very intimidating, and it doesn't make Terran feel safe. So yeah, Terran's in kind of an awkward position here. He is going to take a third. He's throwing down a command center. But I mean, let's look at the income harvesters tab. aXa's at 65 harvesters. Terran's on 54. He's just way far behind in the harvester count. So aXa doing a fine job here, and Terran just ramping up for some nice pushes, but they were just shut down. And so now it looks like he's going to take this gold. And this is a problem that I've always had in this position as Zerg against Terran. They just take this gold and there's nothing you can do about it. But meanwhile, Brokenhandz is going to try a drop. If you cannot attack the front, you just try to attack from a different angle. But these Zerglings are in a nice position, and this will prompt aXa to run in and pick off a lot of these tanks. So, I mean, look at that. I mean, Terran gets out of position with a lot of his units. He sees that Brokenhandz is trying to push out with a drop. Well, just go and thin out his tank line, and then before the drop can even get to your base, I mean, let's just see what this drop can do. I think he's going to be able to pick off these queens. So he picks off 1 queen, he picks off a 2nd queen, but, you know, the trade-off is aXa is going to kill pretty much everything. So these Marines do get fungled. So do the medevacs, and only 1 Marine remains, and because Marines are OP, he stays alive forever because of medevacs. The spine will be enough to finish taking that out. Meanwhile, there's more Marines here. They're going to try and stem and pick away at some of these infestors, which are out of position. He does manage to save that infestor, and the Marines do get fungled, and they do die. Meanwhile, Orchardless Cavern, as well as Adrenal Glands on the way for aXa, so a pretty fast hive there for aXa. I mean, he generally gets his hive around 16, 17 minutes. So, as far as the build is concerned, it's about normally timed. He has been refining this build for some time, and I think he's just gotten a lot smoother with it. The transitions are a lot better. There's not so much uncertainty of when to get certain upgrades. I mean, he's going to get level 3 melee, and he's going to get Adrenal Glands. I think Adrenal Glands is going to finish for level 3 melee, yeah, and just now starting on Carapace level 2. And, you know, in the meantime, Terran Vehicle up is level 1. These Marines are only at 1-1, so if they were higher up in their upgrades, it would be a little bit scarier. But since there are no mutas, I mean, I guess I can agree with him focusing more on mech. And this base right here will start to become a planetary fortress. Will be very difficult for aXa to deal with. Meanwhile, a drop over here, I don't think he's going to do much with that for right now. And right now I think aXa is just waiting to make some Ultralisks. That chitinous plating is on the way. 3 Ultralisks are on the way. aXa is meanwhile taking a 4th. So Terran grabs his 3rd, well then you should take your 4th. And let's see here, it looks like Brokenhandz is going to go for yet another drop. And, I mean, it was spotted last time by these Zerglings, so I'm not sure why he's not just dropping Marines in here clearing away the Zerglings. Maybe he thinks he can get the element of surprise. Maybe he'll do attack with these Marines with this drop at the same time. Will be interesting to see. Yeah, it looks like he will. So these medevacs have been spotted. So now this medevac will kind of hang out here for a second. Not sure exactly what it's doing. Well, anyways, we're not going to wait all day for that. And I think Terran's going to try and get a nice position here against the Zerg. He's not scanning this creep, which is sort of a mistake on his part. Meanwhile, dropping off units here are going to be aggressive. This Overlord is going to come up in here and see exactly what's going on. Nice fungal off on the SCVs, but they will not go down. And this drop is going to start to do some damage. And I mean, there's plenty of spine crawlers here to engage it, but look at this, tons of Zerglings coming in, and Ultralisks, and Infestors, and this will pretty much get shut down. I mean, aXa's not even paying attention to this planetary fortress. I mean, it's spamming tons of infested Terran, fungling these Marines. Pretty much, Brokenhandz is in a world of hurt right now. There's just not much you can really do. So Ultralisk and Infested Terrans and everything is going to die very quickly. And I mean, Terran's just in a lot of trouble now. There are Ultralisk and Infested Terrans in his base. He went for Vikings, and I don't know why he did that. I mean, he never scouted a Spire. So I'm not sure why he went for Vikings. I mean, if you don't scout a Spire from your Zerg and you don't scan him enough, you're going to lose to, you know, builds like this. I don't know why Terrans just assume that you're going to get Broodlords if you've never made a Mutalisk. But anyways, that was a mistake on Brokenhandz' part. I think that's going to cost him the game. And if he had just started making Ghosts instead of Vikings at this point, he could have been alright. I mean, he could have, you know, stayed in the game for a while, but this base is more or less defunct. There's just not much you can do here. Ultralisks are in your drone line. And, you know, meanwhile, I mean, all these queens have gone down. And aXa's not really macroing behind this, or not injecting behind this, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, Terran's dead. There's nothing he's going to be able to do at this point. There's no way he can come back. So it was kind of close there for a minute, but it was more or less a late-game build order error. I wouldn't say it was a build order loss, but it was more of an error. I'm not sure why Brokenhandz decided he had to go for Vikings at that point. That was a big mistake. Anyways, Lings and Ultras are going to come in here and clean up the rest. And there's going to be absolutely nothing that Brokenhandz can do about it. He GG's out of the game, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you win a ZVT in close positions on Shattered Temple. So I was really, I did learn a few things here, and things I do want you guys to remember from this replay. Creep spread, very elemental. Very much a part of slowing down the Terran push and making him feel not very safe about pushing out. And as well, there were Zerglings here to flank for when that push was coming. Some Zerglings were here to flank the siege tanks in the back, where the other Zerglings could come in and hit the Marines. And then just teching to Ultralisks, and I don't know why Terran went for Vikings. It just, you never scouted a Spire. I don't know why he went for Vikings. Ghost would have been a much better choice, but I mean, at that point in time, Zerg is on 4 base, and your wall's been breached, your tank line has been decimated, and you're just not going to be able to do anything. So that will do it for that game. I have been your host, as always, Kangaroothless. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Be sure to rate, subscribe, leave comments, and all that fun stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.